tools of improv comedy in everyday life.
I fell in love with Katie Goodman, and I thought she was a brilliant, talented artist, and I asked her to come and meet you guys. So, Katie Goodman, folks. We're gonna play a little song.
So what we're going to do today is we're going to learn how to use the tools of improv comedy to create an authentic, courageous, and fulfilling life. That's great. Very good. Thank you. So I have a really weird job. As we stand on stage, we have no script. We don't know where we're going. We have no goal. We don't know what the other person is thinking. We have nothing except a bajillion ideas running through our mind, but we haven't talked about it. So for some of you, this might sound like an exciting challenge, and for others, a recurring nightmare that you have. But this is my job. And what I've found is that it's a laboratory for the rest of my life.
People want to hear, this little taste of your true voice. How do we even begin to excavate our authentic voice? Especially for so many of us who have been told by society, family, friends, work, whatever, that you can't say what you really want to say or who you are. It's not okay. You're not going to be accepted.
99% of the time, it's not that you're not good at coming up with a new idea. It's that there's a block in the way.
The one thing I love to call gagging your inner critic. We all have this voice inside us that says, you can't do it, you're not smart enough, any of those things. We usually pick that up in childhood somewhere. It's a really important piece for people is learning how to tone down that voice. Okay, raise your hand if you're a perfectionist. We are reinventing ourselves over and over and over again.
But the thing is, you have to figure out kind of who you are authentically, and that's what the getting lost piece is about. So coming back to that, you're changing. You're changing all the time. Allow yourself to get lost, unattached to who you were. Take some time with it. Don't rush into the next iteration of you. What I like about all this is that becoming comfortable taking risks in your life allows you the chance to become more authentic. So getting comfortable and sort of excited about that, about change, is probably going to make you a much happier person because it's gonna happen.
Katie Goodman!
So I am an improviser and a comedian and a coach, and I have found that all the tools of improv comedy are the same tools that we need in our everyday lives, in our relationships and in work. So just to start out, how's your pandemic going? Just a breeze, no change, nothing unexpected. So what we're going to learn today is how to handle the unexpected, and that's basically what I've kind of become an expert in by being an improviser. We want to know, how do we get comfortable and confident with change and with the unpredictability of life, okay? So we're going to just start right here. We're going to play some games today too, and I'm going to bring some people up on stage. I think they know who they are to be our volunteers. So this is kind of the list. This is actually in your book on page 29, so you can just look at it later. But I'm going to go through the 8 tools of improv just briefly, and then we're going to go through them a little more slowly and give you a chance to try some of these things out. So the first thing is that you want to do as an improviser and in any problem-solving leadership roles is you want to stay really present. You need to listen, right? So how many people just kind of space out during staff meetings sometimes? It's okay, you can admit it. Okay. And I think it is really hard because sometimes you're planning ahead, right? You're thinking about options. You're also thinking about dinner, any of these things. I'm trying to decide whether to tell you this story right out of the gate, but I had one experience recently where I was at a big outdoor theater festival with my improv troupe. And we were doing a scene called movie genres. If you've seen improv before, like you're doing a scene and then they go, romantic comedy, and you switch, and then they go adventure, and you switch into that. And somebody from the audience yells, porn. And I was like, oh my God, this is a family audience. Like, what? And so, I don't know, I kind of like sauntered over to one of the guys on stage with me and just kind of like shimmied up to him. And he leans over and he whispers in my ear, they said foreign film. So like immediately I whip out a cigarette in a French accent and it's like, it's fine, close call, but I was not there. I was thinking way, way, way ahead about where the scene was gonna go, and that doesn't work. The yes and principle, raise your hand if you've heard of that. It's a very popular phrase now. Yeah, I used to bring this up years ago and nobody had heard of it. The yes and principle. So instead of you're in a staff meeting, someone comes up with an idea and someone's like, no. Have you ever seen that or had that happen to you? You don't feel heard. It just completely shuts it down. That's sort of called negation. In improv, the yes and principle is this. You're in a scene, someone says, hey, look at that pink elephant. And the other actor goes, what pink elephant? What happens to the scene and the idea? Yeah, it just dies. So instead, you don't literally have to like the idea or say, yes, you want to do the idea. The idea is that you're accepting the information that they have given you as an idea, and you're adding to it. So, yes, pink elephant, yes, and it's standing on your mother-in-law or whatever. And then the scene can go on, and you have some ideas. That's the yes and principle. The third one on here is being flexible, spontaneous, thinking on your feet. That's kind of what you think of when you think of improv, like the most important thing, right? We're gonna talk about that a little bit more too. And surrendering attachment to a goal. Now, this one's tricky because often we're given goals by our leaders, employers, or the market or whatever. So the trick is to surrender your attachment to the specific goal and the specific way of getting there, right? So actually, no, let me talk about that a little bit later. I'll keep going quickly through these. Number 5 is take creative risks. That's pretty obvious. You want to create a culture in which it's okay for people to take risks, where they feel comfortable giving those yes and ideas out and not getting shot down. Gag your inner critic. I'm going to send you guys home, whoever wants, with a way to get the inner critic worksheet. We're going to turn our inner critic into an inner coach, because inner critics are basically useless. They don't help us at all. And a coach is much more neutral and helpful, so we're going to do that. Get lost. This is one of my favorite ones. So in an improv game, you're always getting lost. Gosh, during the pandemic, we've all been lost. Like, I'm home with a toddler. I'm not, I'm 53, but I was home with menopause. You're home with a kid, you're trying to work, you can't communicate with your staff anymore, all kinds of being lost. And there's always this messy middle. We all know somebody who got divorced and then hooked up with someone 2 months later that was exactly the same person, right? We've all seen that happen. So what you need to do is being more comfortable with a messy middle while you're still changing to figure out who you're going to become. And all of this leads to number 8, which is being authentic and creative. So these are the tools that we use to handle everything. And confidence is what comes out of it. Now, I love a good power pose, but power poses are not the only thing that work. Confidence comes from doing. So this is all a practice that I'd love you guys to be able to take home, use in your staff meetings or around the dinner table, or just in your own life. Everything we're talking about today, and you'll have the reminder in your book on page 29 to help with that. Okay, so going back to stay present, what is your first reaction to this? Just yell. Too hard, blah. Someone said blah. What else? Ouch. Scary, A lot of stairs, that's a lot of stairs. So what do we think if we're present? So little kids are really present, right? So what's the kid's thought? Just that one stair, right? He's just looking at this, he's like, want to climb stair, right? And that is the kind of mindset that we want to be in for problem solving and collaboration and creativity. The want to climb stair, I should name my next book that, want to climb stair idea. So staying present. And the way that we collaborate well is through the yes and exercise. So we're going to do a yes and exercise right now with the person next to you. So one of you will start and the other will respond. So the first person will say, hey, don't I know you from, and they'll fill in the blank, like, hey, don't I know you from Jose and Jenny's wedding? Your partner will respond, yes, and that was the day when I blank, and they'll make up something. Decided to become a nun, or whatever. So don't use weddings or nuns. You make up your own, and then once you've done that, switch, and the person who went first now goes second and do a new set that has nothing to do with the first set. Does that make sense? Okay, ready, go, and I'll clap to bring you back. Let's go. Okay. Good. How did that go? There's a lot of laughing. Was that hard? Raise your hand if it was hard. Raise your hand if it was easy. So sometimes one or the other is hard. Being like the person who starts, like coming up with something out of the blue is harder for you. And that's a good thing to track just for life. And then if it was harder for you to be like, I just have to respond to what they gave me. And like that can be harder. So I think it's a really fun exercise to do like at a staff meeting as well, to just try to see where your comfort level is with all that. I'm going to bring a bunch of guys, my volunteers, up in 1 second. And being flexible, thinking on your feet. And we're going to do the one-word story game. Actually, can I just have one person real quick? One of you just run up with a microphone. So this is a one-word story. It's very, very simple. All we're going to do is, hi. All we're going to do is tell a story together, like the dog went to the store kind of thing, okay? And somebody shout out a noun. Umbrella? Umbrella. It's not umbrella. I think it's something funnier, but I can't hear it. So we're going with umbrella. Okay, so we're just going to do a quick story. Just keep your mic up. Okay, it's working. Yesterday.
I went.
Okay, so you can only say one word.
Oh, okay. Yesterday.
I went
to
the
store
and
broke
their
cart.
That's great. Okay, good. I'm going to stop you right there, and you guys are going to come up in a sec. Good job. Okay. That was very funny. It was funny because it was unexpected. We had no idea she was going to go there. It allowed her to come up with, I want to hear the rest of that story. How did you break their heart? Okay, so the whole point was how was it for you just being like, I don't have to plan the whole thing, I'm just going to see where it goes? Was that a comfortable spot for you, or are you like, I'm a control freak? I don't know if you want to admit that in front of 2,000 people, but okay. All right, great. So, anyone an overachiever here? I love this picture. Or a perfectionist? Now, perfectionism is not the way to solve problems or to collaborate. And that's really, really important by understanding that it's not the way to get to our goals. So instead, what we want is to be unattached, like we talked about before, to the specific goal. And one more. And we want to be very present, so to what's happening in the moment. Okay, run up here, you guys. Come on up, and I'm going to use, come on up my table here. So we're going to tell a story together. Can you bring one mic? Thank you. So give them a round of applause. Okay, we're going to be very quick because I'm going to run out of time. So make me like a little a cappella choir. Okay, right there. Good. So, oh, wow, this is amazing. Okay, so we're going to do a storytelling choir real quick here. And you come downstairs so they can see you better. And you guys will not know where this story is going, okay? And you can't plan. So try to just be like really present. You have to pick up where somebody left off. It'll go like this, like the dog went to the store and broke someone's heart, okay? So if I come off, you have to stop talking the minute I come off, and you have to pick up right where they left off, okay? So I'm gonna start this story. Once upon a time, there was an evil bake sale.
And an evil witch.
Good, keep going.
That put something in it.
And it was bad. And I didn't want to buy it.
But it was so good at the same time. The delicious smell of everything.
Everything delicious in the world you could ever dream of was in that room. And she just kept cooking as much as she could.
And then she stopped cooking because she had a heart attack. She was not very happy, and she was not in the mood to do anything because she had a heart attack.
And who didn't I get? Finish the story?
And then she rose from the dead.
Okay, good, very much, thank you. Beautiful, you guys can sit down. Good. Excellent. She was clearly not in this building with healthcare upstairs. Good job, you guys. Okay, so you can see the brain's thinking, right? Like you can be somebody who's thinking ahead. That's not a problem. The problem is when you get stuck on that idea. Anyone have that experience where you're like, this whole staff meeting has just like derailed. It's gone off on this totally different direction than I was planning, and I'm still standing here holding onto my idea. And she's nodding. And it doesn't really work. So that is what these exercises are to practice, to help you. Now, you can do this in any other way, on your own. You can do it like painting or cooking or whatever. All creativity has an element of this in it.